Welcome back today, guys. We are shooting the postcard. We have brother 60 today.
Yeah, yeah,
But we will never stop learning as
yeah,
long as we live in this world.
yeah.
Bram 60 Over to you, Bram 60.
My brother, I thank you a lot for this platform and the opportunity. This time I'm in front of the camera. I'm not behind today. So the thing is, I want to speak about the politics and the landscape actually of South Africa, things that affect us as South Africa. So I want to speak about, before I go into this, I want us to discipline our thoughts before we go into the issue and actually speak about the title of this podcast today. It's called Decentralized Despotism. Decentralized despotism is divide and conquer. It is to divide people and conquer them. So as I begin with this video, I'm going to also debunk the myth about apartheid. Apartheid, because of South Africa, remember, went through a period of apartheid. And it is said that guys like Hendrik Verwoerd were the ones who were the architects of apartheid. But I'm debunking that myth that actually those guys were the architects of apartheid. I think we're giving them too much credit. For me, apartheid is just another form of colonization, basically still colonization, because of it's a divide and rule, divide and conquer. It is to make people change their ways. It is to bring upon into the country capitalism. It is to make people lose their ways, lose their cultures. So let's go back. Let me give context so that my argument can be palatable, so that people understand why I say that apartheid actually is naming this colonization of South Africa apartheid is just a myth, and giving the Afrikaners too much credit, because of, remember, at that time during 1948, those guys, they were not too sophisticated, especially academically, especially intellectually. There were people who were intellectuals and academics, the guys from England, the British. So remember, basically what happened is South Africa had 4 provinces, 4 colonies then. It was the Cape Colony, it was the Natal, it was the Orange Free State, it was the Transvaal. So Natal and Cape Colony belonged now to the British. And then going up to Free State and Gauteng, the Transvaal, then it was a place which was owned now by the Afrikaners, the Boers. So basically, this thing started happening in 1875. Let me take back people to memory lane. 1875 in England, where it happened that there was what you call the Sepoy Mutiny. So a Sepoy Mutiny, it's the word Sepoy means a soldier. Mutiny means a rebellion. So basically, this Sepoy Mutiny has other names. It was just a rebellion against now the British soldiers, who actually the Indians felt at the time that they were alienated. Their culture was alienated. Their spirituality was alienated. It's like Buffy Clemo when they tell you to lose your culture. That's why people now, they fight for their rights. No, we can't. So after that fighting, remember that India at the time had Pakistan, had Sri Lanka as part of India. So basically, when you look at India, it was almost like a continent. So those people were so many. They were the population there was too much. So the British, because of they've colonized now India at the time, and then they had their administrators. So it was very expensive to bring a lot of administrators to go and administer there. They had a crisis with these people. So they wanted to control these people, and as those people were the colonized, they were their subjects.
I don't know if I follow correctly, brother 60.
Yeah.
When you say the British,
Yeah.
like the Indian most, they say they were colonized about the Arabic. Their original language is Northern Arabic for Indian people.
No, these guys were colonized by the British.
Or the British.
The British. Yeah, I remember at the time the British in the 1800s, they were the hegemony. They were like United States of America at the time. Because of, remember, the British also colonized South Africa. They colonized Nigeria.
Mozambique.
No, Mozambique, it was colonized by
The Portuguese.
the Portuguese, yeah. So let me carry on before I lose my train of thought. So, as they were these people were rebelling against this British government, so a guy called Lord Lugard, actually, and the others, they had to devise a plan now called the divide and conquer, decentralized despotism. So they actually did this. They created this division and brought upon ethnic groups, and where there's so many people, they've put in chiefs. They put chiefs so that they can rule over people. They can rule over those people. So what I'm saying is clearly also described in a book called Citizens and Subject. Citizens and Subject. I recommend that book called Citizens and Subject. The author of the book is Mahmood Mamdani. So Mahmood Mamdani is a third generation Ugandan Indian who wrote about this phenomenon of citizen and subject, the division now. Hence I'm talking about the division. So in the context of South Africa, the division is there are citizens and there's also subjects. So who are the citizens in South Africa? The citizens are the white people, the colonizers. Who are the citizens? Those who colonize South Africa are the citizens. The subjects are the colonized, which are the natives of South Africa. So when I draw a distinction, you look at these people are governed by civil law, the citizens. And then the subjects are governed by customary law. They are governed by customary law. So so when you're governed by civil law, you can go to the courts, you can appeal when you have something wrong done to you. Basically, you have the freedom. But when you go to this customary law, this customary law was made by the guy called Lord Haley, which was a lawyer at the time. He drafted the template. So this template was that the customary law of Botswana and the customary law of Bazulu are not the same. The customary law of Omaxhosa and the customary law of Amatsonga are not the same, based on they could add, they had their chiefs who ruled over them. So these guys had chiefs who were ruling over them. And the chief was given power. The chief was the executive, the chief was the magistrate, the chief was everything. So if you had a problem living in the rural areas, you had to go to the chief. The chiefs will sort you out. Basically, the chief looked after land issues, law of the land, law of inheritance. Ne?
Okay.
And then Makai, you can look at the setup, how is it like? So these people and then these citizens, they lived in the urban areas, Banamotao and stuff. The subjects lived in the rural areas. So the land which is there in the rural areas, it's a land which is owned, like is owned by the community, is owned by the people. You cannot sell that land as an individual. So the land which is owned here in the urban areas, you can actually go to the bank and attach that land as collateral so that they can give you a loan. You'll get a loan, and then you can do something else with that land. You can sell that land. I'm selling my apartment in Sandton, and I'm going now to stay in Pretoria, and I'm going to get money from that land. You see how the benefits it's happening. So you see that this division is always been something that's happening. Yes, people have been talking about decolonizing politics, decolonizing the economy. You have an issue with economy, politics. Yes, we got the political freedom, yet we're still to have a financial freedom, economic freedom. We still yet to have. Those are the two things people which focus on. But here I'm focusing on the structure of the society, how the society is affected with these things. So that's why now my advice to the leaders is that they must now deracialize. Deracialization. We did a deracialization without democratization. So our deracialization needs democratization. Basically means that now you after freedom, after 94, you have people who can stay here, who have come from the rural areas and come and stayed in the urban areas. Now we can stay with white people, go to school with them. But what we have not done yet is deracialization of democratization. Basically meaning we've deracialized this thing, but there's no democracy in this thing. Basically, South Africa, we have a South Africa here, and then it's divided into two. We have the white side of South Africa, you have the rural part of South Africa. Yeah, but so the reason I said in the beginning of the video that we're giving too much credit to guys like Hendrik Verwoerd is that Jan Smuts went to the lecture of Rhodes, went to the Rhodes lecture, and then there they told him about these things about Lord Lugard. They started understanding about the divide and conquer rule, and then that thing they used it now. They started using it in the Cape Colony where people were divided, had to pay tax and all those things. So one of the best leaders of the Afrikaner community had to go now to that lecture, to that Rhodes lecture, and actually learn. And he was convinced that you can still do the divide and conquer rule, because of he thought at the time, the Afrikaners thought that it's too late, and then they told him no, you can still do it now. Hence, when it's apartheid time, you had things like forced removals, because of they had a problem with people now in the urban areas. Because of, remember the gold rush, people who were back in the urban areas, people had to be forcefully removed. Violence now was the order of the day, because of they had to reason with them. Reason. After reasoning with them, what follows reason is capital. It also followed by violence. Black people were abused violently and forcefully removed and segregated. Now that's why you have townships, Podikasi. Steve Biko spoke about the township. He said that it is a miracle for somebody who comes from a township to actually survive and make it in life. Why did he say that? He said that because of structurally you are disadvantaged due to the structures they've created during the so-called apartheid. So yeah, that is what I wanted to share. And the author Mahmood Mamdani is one of the first generation of intellectuals we have here in Africa. I really appreciate it. He also have so many books that he wrote. I believe the other one is
Do you mind naming them?
Saviors and Survivors.
There's
so many. So the writing style of Mahmood Mamdani is that he likes to use the the style where you put different views, the opposites, the contradictions about the good side and the bad, the good and the bad.
That's about the
the
advantage,
dichotomy, and the disadvantage, the
disadvantage.
dichotomies about that. That's the thing of Mahmood Mamdani, and we appreciate him for that.
In a proper way, you say Mamdani, he simplify things for even those who are not having the idea.
Yeah,
may have the idea to
idea
fit
what's going.
in.
Yeah, so basically, reading is actually, and seeking knowledge it's a vaccine and an antidote for manipulation. That's why I don't follow much of mainstream media, mainstream politics, because of I believe that our solutions, we need to go deeper. We need to go deeper than the mainstream media. We need to have a lot of black intellectuals, black academics who will go to these universities and actually come back and share with society. Not to be too individual. So here in South Africa, there's a lot of things that affect us, even the nationalism which affects us, but we'll do it on another video. Yeah.
So if the way you are speaking about, do you see those great leaders now who are leading the politics because of their party? They open parties after parties. When you check, they have a discipline of thoughts.
Different thoughts. No, I will be controversial on that. No political party will save South Africa. Basically, if you want to use a political party to liberate black people who are marginalized in so many ways, who even whiteness, when whiteness looks at the black consciousness, let me put it like this: when the white consciousness look at the black consciousness, it thinks of the black conscious as epistemologically inferior and ontologically inferior. Epistemologically inferior, it means that you lack the capacity for knowledge to produce thought. And then ontologically inferior means that you're not human enough, you're subhuman, hence the violence against black people, hence the colonization, hence white person had to come to South Africa in the name of civilization to abuse and all those things and actually do a crime against humanity. It's about time that whiteness see blacks as people, acknowledge that we are people, we are the same. So political parties, my brother, the ones save us. It's like treating a symptom. We are sick now. Ne? You have
HIV, for example.
Yeah, any disease, for example, a larger disease, a disease which is life-threatening. Then there are symptoms of those diseases. A bad doctor will diagnose symptoms and try to mistake symptoms as a disease and treat those symptoms without looking at the larger picture. The larger picture is this disease, which is it's gonna reproduce itself. Those symptoms are gonna come back. This disease, that virus is growing inside you. So the larger problem, it is not the political parties. The larger problem is the Western modernity. The larger problem is nationalism. The larger problem is colonialism. The larger problem is capitalism. All these isms which we've exported from Europe, those are not our concepts. This epoch epotic movements. So an epotic movement is a movement like colonization, which happened in the 1800s. Then it started then in Europe, birthplace, birth time. But those movements, they are still there. They outlived even the people who have actually started them. So my brother, let me stop it here so that I don't overload people, give information overload. I want to give people information in a granular manner in capsules. Go for say once a day, yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you, brother sister. You have teach us a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks, my
brother.
Yeah, just wait for giving the bag a good result.
Yeah.
Guys, let us continue studying and learning and giving the side of our story. We thank you. Peace for you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.